Our town may not look like much. We don't have a traffic light, much less a skyline. Just one giant brick reminder of who we are. We are home to a distillery that's the oldest of its kind. For 200 years, it made a whiskey beloved the world over, until hard times crept in and bolted its doors. But this is a place with a smokestack for a backbone, and people who believe that as long as the river's running, there's work to be done. As a town, we kept paying the distillery fee to keep hope alive, until we could once more fill its stills. Because we would never let that tower be reduced to a monument. We are Kilbeggan, a town and a whiskey both. And every bottle is proof our spirit never left.
And there it stands, tall, great, majestic, a smokestack, the towering heart. Like an emperor, it surveys its kingdom, the home of the caramel gold. From whitewashed cottages, workers arrive at the reverend stone ground, for more than just a job, or to make shilling and bob, but to a place they love, Kilbeggan Distillery, the spirit's alive. Busy, busy, the towering heart watches his family. Grain by the sack, heavy on their backs. Turf by the sod, from heather-hallowed bog. The brus in a vein, the river flows through. It unites its brother, the mossy wheel. To turn the cogs, the pistons and pulleys. The water flows through the great stone gullies. Busy, busy, green copper pots, red blazing fires. A trail of smoke whispers to good folk, the spirit's alive. The coopers roll the great oak cask. They know they have an important task. With a hammering and a beating with mighty blows, they make the cask for the caramel gold. Sod fires roar, black ravens call, from their towering heart they soar. Sacks of gold drain on the black turf sod. Copper still is warming, the pot still is now flowing. Yes, the spirit's alive. The blender checks a barrel old, to taste, to smell the caramel gold. Yes, Kilbeggan whiskey will be sold. A rope pulled, a grey bell rings, time for workers to finish and go. Happy and content, the whiskey has flowed. But back tomorrow, they will return, for the start, under their friend, the towering heart.
Our traditional Irish whiskey, Kilbeggan, embodies our passion and purpose. That is to preserve our historic Irish brands long into the future. The way whiskey is made is pretty similar from distillery to distillery. So what makes Kilbeggan whiskey so special? Why is it that we are the most awarded Irish whiskey distiller? It's all about the detail. It's not just from our methods or our ingredients. Yes, we use Irish barley, but possibly more important than that are our people. Our people are dedicated to keeping the traditions alive that families in the local community before us had fought to maintain. Whether that is our recipe, which remains a closely guarded secret, through to the style of mashing we use in our old wooden washbacks. It's the age of the traditional pot stills, some over 180 years old and still helping to make our whiskey. It's about the way we take our spirit cut. It's even where we put our whiskey to sleep, slowly maturing in oak barrels in our traditional maturation warehouses here at Kilbeggan, the same place that whiskey has been matured for decades before it. That's what makes our whiskey special. The passion to protect the traditional ways, the heritage that has made Irish whiskey what it is today, and not forgetting our people that make it happen.
I'm Andrina Fitzgerald and I'm the distiller here on site. I'm working here almost 2 years and I absolutely love my job. I started out in college doing a science degree and I didn't actually think I'd be here in the distillery when I finished my degree, but by chance I happened to get a job in here for an apprenticeship for trainee and see did I like it. After a couple of days work experience, absolutely loved it. Came back for a 6-month trial period. Nearly 2 years on, I'm still here. The experience here is so different to everywhere else because first off you get to see the old museum, how the whisky was made in the 17 and 1800s, and then you come out to us on production, you see how we're still making it today. The mash tun is the same type of mash tun they had back then, you still get in and shovel it out, and it's a real hands-on experience, and there's people walking around all the time and you can ask them any question and they will be able to answer it. I love coming in every day and meeting all the different people that come in. There's so many different types of people come in from every walk of life, and it's being able to tell them what I do, how I do it, and they're mesmerised by what's done here. It's very mesmerising the fact that they can actually see the production happening here on site. The distillery is here over 250 years and the whisky that we're making today is as good as the whisky that they were making 250 years ago when they started. I feel privileged actually to be working here, that I have all the knowledge passed down from me, because the guy that trained me in was here for a number of years and he passed all his information down to me, and hopefully in the future when someone else comes in under me I'll be able to pass on the trick of the trade to them as well and we'll be able to keep the whisky going through Kilbeggan.
My name is Rachel Quinn and I'm the Brand Experience Marketing Manager for Kilbeggan Distillery. My job is really to ensure that all of our visitors to here get an exceptional experience. They get to start their tour in 1757 and really walk through the distillery as it was, as it grew through the ages, and then simply cross the courtyard and visit our distillery as it's working today. It's important for me to ensure that we get the experience out there to the public to ensure that they know about us. And then when they're here as well, when they actually come, that they enjoy the experience so that every part of their tour lives up to their expectations, which we know it will. Everything that you see and touch is from the time of the working distillery since 1757, and as it grew through the ages and through the different owners that had Kilbeggan Distillery at their disposal, the Locks family, the Codd family, the McManus family that started it, the Teeling family, and today now the Beam family really who have it. So Kilbeggan Distillery has so much that's true and honest. Nothing here is fabricated. What you see is what you get. Everybody in the distillery, bar myself, are locals. They're all working here. A lot of them people have been working because their family has been working here for a long time as well. And a lot of our distillers have learned to trade from the distillers before them. So I really feel that today's people here are not just tour guides or not just somebody who's coming in to do a day's job. They really have an ownership of Kilbeggan Distillery, and they really like to share that with all of the visitors that come in, and like myself as well. I love coming down to the distillery every day, meeting the people here, working with the distillers, working with the tour staff and everybody in the gift shop and the bar. It's just a really great community atmosphere, and it's just such a special place to see that the opportunity that I have to tell the world about it is just the best job in the world.
Welcome to the Kilbeggan Distillery, a distillery like no other, the oldest licensed whisky distillery in Ireland. Here you can see Irish whisky making as it was 200 years ago. You can see the oldest pot still in Ireland, still working, still producing our famous whisky. And our iconic water wheel that in days gone by used to power the whole distillery. You can see the maturation warehouses where we put our whisky to sleep until it is perfectly matured and ready to be bottled. But this is not just a reminder of what once was. We still make our whisky using the traditional methods. From our traditional wood washbacks to our old pot stills, the quality of the whisky has remained as consistent as ever. To this day, we mature our whisky here at Kilbeggan, patiently waiting while the angels take their share. But don't take our word for it. We'd love to welcome you here at the Kilbeggan Distillery and let you taste it for yourself. Céad Míle Fáilte go Kilbeggan Distilling Company. You're all very welcome to the Kilbeggan Distilling Company. We are a company that embodies the tradition of Irish whiskey. Our heritage dates back to 1757. We are the oldest licensed whiskey distillery in Ireland. Whiskey was invented in Ireland. It was invented by Irish missionary monks who discovered the art of distillation on their travels around Europe. They started to distill using barley, water and yeast. Irish whiskey dominated the world up until the turn of the 20th century. However, there were a number of different events that contrived to destroy the Irish whiskey industry. At the turn of the 20th century, Ireland broke away from Britain, and with that we lost our single biggest market, the British Empire, the British Commonwealth. At around the same time, you had prohibition in the United States of America. Irish whiskey almost didn't recover from this, and many distilleries disappeared off the face of the earth. We resurrected the Kilbeggan brand in 1987, and we started distilling here again in the year 2007, bringing that heritage back to Ireland. We do things differently here at the Kilbeggan Distilling Company, using methods that haven't been seen in Ireland for over 150 years. We use wooden mash tuns, we use wooden fermentation vessels. We also use the oldest pot still in Ireland, over 180 years of heritage going into every single drop of liquid. We double distill. This results in a flavoursome liquid, but also retaining all of that sweet, buttery, vanilla nature, the smoothness and the mellow taste that is unique to Irish whiskey. We are proud to have preserved these iconic Irish whiskey brands. Connemara, the peated single malt, through to Greenore, the most awarded Irish single grain whiskey. Tyrconnell, the iconic horse Tyrconnell that won a race at odds of 100 to 1 in 1876. The brand dates back to 1762, a light, easy drinking single malt whiskey. And then of course, Kilbeggan, our flagship brand from the most awarded Irish distiller, the Kilbeggan Distilling Company. It would almost take a lifetime to tell you all the stories, all the history, all the heritage that went into these whiskies. So why don't you come and visit for yourself? Visit us here at the Kilbeggan Distillery and learn for yourself what makes these whiskies great.
The overall water wheel restoration has been hugely important for both Kilbeggan and Beam because the water wheel is iconic for not just the town but for the distillery as well. Anyone who ever visited us has commented on the water wheel because of the continuity over the 250 years. The water wheel used to be the heart and soul of the distillery. It powered everything. So hugely important to get it back to its former glory. The process itself started about a year ago when we put it out to tender, and we actually found that Ireland actually has a lot of expertise in water wheel restorations. We managed to source all of this expertise locally. We used Sheehan Sawmills, who did all of our woodwork, who are based down in Tipperary. We used a Thai foundry, who has superior craft to anyone else we've seen in terms of moulding and in terms of cast iron. You know, the fact that we were able to source all of this locally has been brilliant because it just adds to the story. The fact that this craft has been around for generations and that we're able to apply it again to this water wheel. And what we're looking at trying to do is, for people who can't actually visit us, we're going to try to look to put webcams on it as well. There's something quite profound or something quite soothing to the water wheel. I remember growing up and coming down here, and it's always had a big impact on people. Just seeing it turning, it gives it that sense of continuity, almost a peaceful side to things. And the fact that it incorporates quite a lot of the elements that's used to produce the whiskey, you know, I think it will have a big effect. It's one of the main talking points for people when they leave the distillery, our old water wheel, and I think it's something that we can own. We're looking at different ways in which we can use this water wheel to generate power again, which would be a really nice story that the old heart or engine of the distillery is back up generating power. You know, it's going to take a while to actually gauge how much energy we can produce, but you know, even as a project for some of the energy on the pot stills, I think that would be a really nice story. If we could somehow get it to power some of the town as well, I think it would be brilliant. Today was just about a local celebration. People have a lot of emotional attachment to it. Obviously with the transition to a big American company.
I think it's hugely significant because here we've got a site which combines the heritage with the continued production of Irish whiskey. The water wheel obviously dates right back to the beginnings of the distillery, and it's fantastic to see that turning again and powering the distillery. And on a day like today when the sun is shining, it's fantastic to see. Well, I think it's great to see the community. They've been involved right from the start. For speaking to some of them there earlier, they've been involved for 20-25 years and looking after and restoring and loving this site. And you can see the pride that is there. I think that Beam's aims will be to preserve the site, to grow the brands, and this site will have an important aspect to play in the future importance of the brands.
Pat and the whole team, the two Johns, did a phenomenal job over the entire summer. For Pat, representing Sheehan Sawmills, he did a brilliant job, so please put your hands together for Pat Sheehan. And look, as a final closure to this water wheel restoration, we're going to get Willie Meehan to turn the wheel, and we're going to give a salute or a sláinte as a good luck for the turning of the wheel. Look, and long may it continue. Thank you very much.